Chosen one, this Monday carries a quiet command that your spirit already recognizes. Do not answer the provocation. There is a reason your chest tightens when a certain message arrives, when a certain tone cuts through the room, when a certain name appears on your screen. You have felt it before, that pull to defend, explain, correct, or prove yourself in words that only exhaust you later. Today, something inside you knows that silence is not surrender, but a different kind of strength. You are not being asked to ignore what is happening, but to stop letting every provocation decide your next move. There is a peace being formed in you that cannot be built in the middle of constant reaction. This is why the first thing you need to hear is that God sees the restraint you are learning, even when no one else notices it. If you sense that this season is asking for more clarity about what you are living and how to move through it with faith, the call of the chosen, a 30-day journey, can help you name the season and understand why it feels so significant. To access the ebook, go now to the top of the comments and click the link in the pinned comment. You do not need to have all the answers today, only the willingness to stop letting every provocation define your day. The peace you are protecting is worth more than the last word you could have said. You wake up already bracing for something, shoulders tight before your feet touch the floor. The phone is face down, but you know there are messages waiting. Maybe a comment, maybe a conversation that left you unsettled yesterday. In the kitchen, the coffee cools while you rehearse responses in your head, sentences you will never send, but that still drain your energy. Your jaw is clenched, your breath is shallow, and your mind keeps returning to that moment when you felt challenged, misunderstood, or cornered. You tell yourself you are fine, but your body knows you are carrying the weight of battles that were never yours to fight alone. This Monday is not asking you to win an argument, but to stop letting every provocation decide your posture before God. There is a difference between being aware and being on high alert, between discernment and constant defense. You were not created. Attention, you need to prepare now. I put together an exclusive resource for those who feel set apart for something greater, but live surrounded by noise, distractions, and mental overload. This is a 30-day journey that will transform your life. A guided path to armor your mind and prepare for what's coming with daily practices of focus, boundaries, and discipline. Stop negotiating with the noise. Learn to spot distractions before they control you, and strengthen your mind. Also available in an immersive audio version. Over 10 Zuzazara readers have already transformed their lives through the 30-day journey. Thousands of people have already started this transformation. People like you who are tired of living in the fog. Ordinary people who decided to stop accepting mental chaos. Take advantage of this limited time offer only this month. Access your link just below in the pinned comment. Created to live with your nervous system always interpreting every tone as a threat. Today, the invitation is to let your spirit recognize that not every voice deserves your energy, and not every provocation deserves your response. This message is not about pretending nothing hurts, but about refusing to let pain dictate your next move. You are being invited to see that restraint can be an act of faith, not a sign of weakness. When you stop answering every provocation, you create space for God to act in ways your reaction would have blocked. You begin to notice that some doors close, not because you failed, but because you finally stopped forcing them open. You start to see that silence can be a form of protection, not punishment. You learn that peace is not the absence of conflict, but the presence of a deeper certainty about who you are and whose you are. This Monday may not remove every challenge, but it can change how you carry yourself in the middle of them. You are not losing your voice. You are learning when to use it and when to let heaven speak on your behalf. There is a maturity forming in you that no longer needs to prove itself in every conversation. Picture yourself later today, standing in a doorway before entering a room where tension is waiting. You feel the old impulse rise, the urge to say something sharp, to correct, to defend, to make sure you are not seen as weak or wrong. But this time, you pause, you breathe. You remember that you are not required to answer every provocation. You step into the room with a quieter confidence, not because you have all the answers, but because you have decided that your peace is more important than winning that moment. Someone speaks in a tone that would normally trigger you, and instead of matching it, you choose a simpler response. You feel your chest loosen, your breath slow, your shoulders drop. Later, when you are alone again, you realize you did not lose anything by not fighting that battle. You gained something far more valuable, the sense that you are no longer controlled by every voice that tries to pull you into chaos. There is a reason you notice this theme today, chosen one. It is not because you are more sensitive than others, but because you are being prepared for a different kind of assignment. You have spent seasons learning to speak up, to set boundaries, to refuse mistreatment. Now you're learning another layer. Not every battle is yours. Not every voice is a teacher. Not every provocation is a door you must walk through. This waiting is not empty. It is forming discernment in you. Many people who have read The Call of the Chosen, a 30-day journey, said it helped them understand their season more clearly, organize their prayers, or stop interpreting every silence as abandonment. To access the ebook, go now to the top of the comments and click the link in the pinned comment. You do not need to carry the weight of every conflict as proof of your faithfulness. There is a wisdom growing in you that knows when to speak and when to let God handle what you cannot control. Of course, there will be voices that question your silence. Some will call it passivity, others will call it fear, and a few will try to provoke you just to see if you will react. They do not know that your restraint is not confusion, but a decision. They do not see the conversations you have already had with God in the quiet hours, the tears you have offered instead of sharp replies, the times you chose to walk away instead of escalate. Opposition will try to convince you that if you do not answer, you will lose respect, influence, or control. But there is a different kind of authority being formed in you, one that does not depend on having the last word. You are learning that some battles are won by not fighting them, that some victories look like walking away in peace. The enemy of your soul does not need you to be loud. He only needs you to be reactive. When you stop answering every provocation, you disrupt the pattern that has kept you exhausted for so long. Think of Joseph, thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, falsely accused, forgotten in a prison, yet never allowed to become bitter. He did not answer every provocation with the same energy it carried. He did not demand immediate justice every time he was wronged. He carried a quiet certainty that God was working even when the evidence looked like abandonment. Years later, standing before those who had harmed him, he could say that what they meant for evil, God had used for good. Your story may not look like his, but the same God is writing it. You are not being asked to pretend nothing hurts, but to trust that God sees what you endure and will act in ways your reaction could block. The same God who was with Joseph in the pit and in the prison is with you in this Monday, in this room, in this tension. You are not alone in your restraint. If you keep answering every provocation, you will remain trapped in cycles that drain your peace and delay your next step. You will keep giving your energy to voices that do not carry your assignment. You will keep proving things to people who were never meant to judge your calling. You will keep mistaking noise for direction and reaction for faithfulness. Over time, your heart will grow harder, not because you are becoming stronger, but because you are constantly defending yourself instead of resting in God. You will start to believe that every challenge is a test you must pass alone. But there is another way. You can choose to let some things go unanswered, not because they do not matter, but because they do not deserve the space they keep demanding in your spirit. You can decide that your peace is more valuable than the temporary satisfaction of having the last word. Chosen one, this Monday is asking you to make a simple but powerful agreement. When provocation rises, you will not answer immediately. If you feel this word settling in your spirit, type 888 in the comments as a quiet confirmation that you are choosing restraint over reaction, then return to this message. This is not a magic code, but a marker that you are aligning your will with what you know is true. You are declaring that you will no longer let every voice decide your posture before God. You are choosing to let silence become a space where God can act. You are saying that your peace is worth protecting, even when it costs you the chance to prove yourself. This small act of typing those numbers is a way of telling your own heart that you are serious about this shift. You are not ignoring the tension. You are refusing to let it control you. There is a deeper root beneath your impulse to answer every provocation. It is not only about other people. It is about what you fear will happen if you do not speak up. You worry that silence will be interpreted as weakness, that people will assume you have no answer, that you will lose respect or influence. You have learned to defend yourself because at some point it felt like the only way to survive. But this pattern has become a cage. You are constantly scanning for threats, rehearsing responses, and carrying conversations in your head long after they are over. Your body lives in a state of alert, and your spirit grows tired of always being on guard. There is a part of you that believes you must manage every perception, correct every misunderstanding, and win every argument to be safe. But this burden was never yours to carry. You are learning that your identity does not depend on how well you can defend yourself in every moment. Recognition alone is not enough. You need a practical way to move through this season without falling back into old patterns. This is where the call of the chosen, a 30-day journey, becomes a companion for your reflection, prayer, and daily decisions. It will not remove every challenge, but it will help you distinguish fear from direction and recognize the next faithful step instead of reacting from panic. Many readers return to these pages when they enter a new season because they find clarity without pressure. To access the ebook, go now to the top of the comments and click the link in the pinned comment. You do not need to have everything figured out today, only the willingness to stop letting every provocation decide your next move. There is a steadiness forming in you that no longer needs to prove itself in every conversation. You are being invited to trust that God can act even when you choose not to answer. Your mind wants to reason through every scenario, to prepare the perfect response, to make sure you are not seen as weak or wrong. But your body already knows the cost of this constant analysis. Your chest tightens, your breath shortens, your shoulders rise toward your ears, and your sleep becomes shallow. Your spirit grows tired of always being on guard, always scanning for the next threat, always ready to fight. There is a difference between discernment and hypervigilance. Discernment says, I see what is happening and I will respond with wisdom. Hypervigilance says, I must be ready to fight everything all the time or I will be harmed. You are learning to tell the difference. You are learning that not every voice deserves your energy, not every challenge deserves your attention, and not every provocation deserves your response. Your body is starting to believe that it is safe to rest, even in the middle of tension. This shift will change how you move through your relationships and environments. You will start to notice which conversations drain you and which ones give you life. You will begin to set boundaries not out of fear, but out of clarity. You will stop feeling responsible for managing every perception and correcting every misunderstanding. Some people will not understand your new posture, and that is okay. You are not required to explain your piece to everyone. There will be moments when you choose not to engage, not because you are avoiding conflict, but because you are protecting what God is forming in you. You will learn to recognize which voices carry wisdom and which ones only carry noise. You will stop letting every provocation decide your posture before God. Your relationships will become simpler, not because everyone changes, but because you stop carrying battles that were never yours to fight. Opposition has a strategy, and it is not always loud. Sometimes it is subtle, wearing the mask of urgency, importance, or loyalty. It tells you that if you do not answer now, you will lose your chance, your influence, your respect. It whispers that silence is surrender, that restraint is weakness, that you must defend yourself or be defined by others. It uses fatigue to make you reactive, delay to make you desperate, and noise to make you confused. It wants you to believe that every challenge is a test you must pass alone. But you are learning to recognize these tactics. You are learning that not every urgency is from God, not every voice is a teacher, and not every provocation is a door you must walk through. You are discovering that peace is not the absence of conflict, but the presence of a deeper certainty about who you are and whose you are. You are no longer required to fight every battle that comes your way. There is a turning point coming, chosen one, when you will stop negotiating with the truth of this message. You will no longer argue with the invitation to restraint. You will stop convincing yourself that you must answer every provocation to be safe or respected. You will begin to see that silence can be a form of strength, not weakness. You will start to trust that God can act even when you choose not to fight every battle. This turning point will not look dramatic from the outside, but inside it will feel like a door opening. You will notice that your chest is looser, your breath is deeper, your shoulders are lower. You will realize that you are no longer carrying the weight of every conflict as proof of your faithfulness. You are learning that your peace is worth more than the last word you could have said. Imagine your life as a garden that has been covered with stones for a long time. Each provocation you answered added another stone, another weight, another layer of hardness over the soil. Over time, the garden could not breathe, could not receive rain, could not grow what was meant to flourish there. You kept adding stones because you believed it was necessary, that you had to defend, explain, correct, or prove yourself in every moment. But now, something is shifting. The stones are beginning to loosen. The soil underneath is still there, still alive, still capable of growth. You are starting to see that not every voice deserves to add another stone to your garden. You are learning to let some things pass without answering, without defending, without proving. The garden is waiting for you to remove the stones so it can breathe again. Inside this garden, formation is happening even under the stones. Roots are growing deeper, searching for water, anchoring themselves in ways you cannot see yet. The plants that belong here are not dead. They are waiting for the weight to be lifted so they can rise toward the light. God has been preserving what matters in you even when it felt like nothing was growing. He has been working in the hidden places, strengthening what will one day be visible. You may not see the results yet, but they are forming. The restraint you are learning, the silence you are choosing, the peace you are protecting, all of it is part of this hidden growth. You are not barren, you are covered. And what is covered is not forgotten. The opposition in this garden has been the weight itself, the constant pressure of stones placed by every provocation you felt you had to answer. Each time you reacted, another stone was added, another layer of hardness formed over the soil. The garden could not breathe, could not receive what it needed to grow. You believed you were protecting yourself, but you were suffocating what God was trying to form in you. The enemy of your soul does not need to destroy the garden. He only needs to keep it covered long enough for you to believe nothing is growing there. He wants you to think that your restraint is weakness, that your silence is surrender, that your peace is naive. But you are starting to see the truth. The stones are not protection, they are pressure. and you are no longer required to carry them. Now movement is beginning. The stones are being lifted one by one, not all at once, but enough for the garden to breathe again. Rain can reach the soil. Light can touch the plants that have been waiting underneath. You are starting to feel the difference in your spirit, the loosening of old tension, the return of a quiet confidence. You are learning that you do not have to answer every provocation to be safe or respected. You are discovering that silence can be a form of strength, not weakness. The garden is not dead, it is waking up. And as the stones are removed, what was preserved in the hidden places begins to rise toward the light. You are not starting over. You are returning to what was always meant to grow in you. Chosen one, if you feel this image of the garden resonating with your spirit, type "I am ready" in the comments as a declaration that you are willing to let the stones be lifted. Then return to this message. This is not about perfection. It is about agreement. You are saying that you are ready to stop adding weight to your own garden, ready to let God remove what has been suffocating your growth. You are choosing to trust that what was preserved in the hidden places is not forgotten. You are declaring that your peace is worth more than the last word you could have said. This simple act of typing those words is a way of telling your own heart that you are serious about this shift. You are not ignoring the tension. You are refusing to let it control you. You are ready for the stones to be lifted. This return is not about performance, but about coming back to who you are when you are not constantly defending yourself. You are not required to prove your worth in every conversation, to correct every misunderstanding, to win every argument. You are learning that your identity does not depend on how well you can defend yourself in every moment. The garden is not a project you must fix. It is a place you are invited to inhabit again. You are being called back to the quiet certainty that God is working even when you choose not to fight every battle. You are discovering that peace is not the absence of conflict, but the presence of a deeper certainty about who you are and whose you are. You are no longer required to carry the weight of every provocation as proof of your faithfulness. One practical practice you can begin today is this. When you feel the impulse to answer a provocation, pause for 3 slow breaths before you respond. In that pause, ask yourself a simple question. Does this need my energy, or can I let it pass? You do not have to decide perfectly. You are only creating space between the impulse and the action. Sometimes you will choose to speak, and that is okay. Sometimes you will choose silence, and that is also okay. The point is not to never respond, but to stop responding from panic. You are learning to let your spirit lead instead of your reaction. This small pause will begin to change the pattern that has kept you exhausted for so long. You are not losing your voice. You are learning when to use it. Another practice is to end your day with a simple peace audit. Before you sleep, review the moments when you felt provoked and ask yourself, did I answer from peace or from panic? You do not need to judge yourself, you are only observing. If you answered from panic, offer it to God without shame and ask for more clarity next time. If you answered from peace, thank Him for the strength to choose restraint. This audit is not about perfection, it is about awareness. You are training your spirit to recognize the difference between reaction and discernment. Over time, you will notice that you are less controlled by every voice that tries to pull you into chaos. You are becoming someone who can stand in tension without losing your center. There will be moments when you need to close doors, not out of bitterness, but out of stewardship. You are learning that peace is protected through limits, not through constant engagement. Some conversations do not need your energy. Some voices do not deserve your attention. Some battles are not yours to fight. You are not required to explain your peace to everyone. You can choose to step back, to let some things go unanswered, to protect what God is forming in you. This is not isolation. It is discernment. You are not running away from conflict. You are choosing which conflicts deserve your energy. You are learning that your peace is worth more than the temporary satisfaction of having the last word. The decision before you is simple but profound. You will no longer let every provocation decide your next move. You will stop giving your energy to voices that do not carry your assignment. You will choose restraint, not as weakness, but as wisdom. You will trust that God can act even when you choose not to fight every battle. This decision does not require perfection, it requires agreement. You are saying that your peace is more important than proving yourself in every conversation. You are declaring that you will no longer carry the weight of every conflict as proof of your faithfulness. You are choosing to let silence become a space where God can act. This is the stewardship of your spirit, and it is worth more than any temporary victory gained through reaction. If this message has settled in your spirit like a quiet amen, give it a like as a silent agreement that you are choosing restraint over reaction, then return to what you are receiving. This is not about metrics or numbers. It is about telling your own heart that you are serious about this shift. You are declaring that you will no longer let every provocation define your day. You are choosing to trust that God sees the restraint you are learning even when no one else notices it. You are saying that your peace is worth protecting, even when it costs you the chance to prove yourself. This small act of liking is a way of sealing this agreement in your spirit. You are not ignoring the tension, you are refusing to let it control you. There is someone who came to your mind while you were listening, someone who is also learning to stop answering every provocation. You know their name, you know their struggle, you know how hard they fight to be understood, to be respected, to be seen. Share this message with them, not as a correction, but as a delivery of peace. Let them know they are not alone in this learning. Let them know that restraint is not weakness, but a different kind of strength. Let them know that God sees the battles they are choosing not to fight. This act of sharing is not about growing an audience. It is about caring for a soul. You are carrying a word that someone else needs to hear. Do not keep it to yourself. Chosen one, if this word has become a part of you, type "I belong to God" in the comments as a declaration that your identity is not defined by every provocation you face. Then return to what you are receiving. This is not a wish, it is a confirmation. You are stating a truth that no voice can change. You are reminding your own heart that you are not required to prove your worth in every conversation. You are declaring that your peace is more important than the last word you could have said. This simple act of typing those words is a way of sealing this agreement in your spirit. You are not ignoring the tension. You are refusing to let it control you. You belong to God, and that is enough. This Monday has carried you from recognition to return, from the pain of constant reaction to the peace of chosen restraint. You have seen how provocation tries to pull you into chaos, how your body carries the weight of battles that were never yours to fight alone. You have learned that silence can be a form of strength, not weakness, that not every voice deserves your energy, not every challenge deserves your attention, not every provocation deserves your response. You have discovered that your identity does not depend on how well you can defend yourself in every moment. You are being invited to trust that God can act even when you choose not to fight every battle. You are learning that your peace is worth more than the last word. Attention, you need to prepare now. I put together an exclusive resource for those who feel set apart for something greater, but live surrounded by noise, distractions, and mental overload. This is a 30-day journey that will transform your life. A guided path to armor your mind and prepare for what's coming with daily practices of focus, boundaries, and discipline. Stop negotiating with the noise. Learn to spot distractions before they control you, and strengthen your mind. Also available in an immersive audio version. Over 10 Zuzazara readers have already transformed their lives through the 30-day journey. Thousands of people have already started this transformation. People like you who are tired of living in the fog. Ordinary people who decided to stop accepting mental chaos. Take advantage of this limited time offer only this month. Access your link just below in the pinned comment.